The Ten Commandments. Moses was taking care of his father-in-law's sheep in the desert when he saw a burning bush that didn't burn. He heard the voice of God telling him to go to Egypt to free the Israelites from slavery. Moses was scared but trusted God and decided to go to Egypt with his assistant Joshua and brother Aaron. When they reached the palace, they met the Pharaoh, a tall and powerful warrior. Moses told the Pharaoh that God wanted him to let the Israelites go, but the Pharaoh refused to listen. God sent the first plague, turning the water into blood, but the Pharaoh still didn't listen. The second plague was frogs everywhere, and the Pharaoh was getting annoyed but still didn't listen. The third plague was lice and fleas, and the Pharaoh was starting to get scared but still didn't listen. God sent more plagues, including flies, disease in animals, and boils on people's skin, but the Pharaoh still didn't listen. The seventh plague was hail, and the Pharaoh was getting desperate but still didn't listen. The eighth plague was locusts, and the Pharaoh was starting to lose hope but still didn't listen. The ninth plague was darkness for 3 days, and the Pharaoh was finally starting to listen. The 10th plague was the death of every firstborn son, and the Pharaoh was devastated. The Israelites were saved because they put blood on their doors, and the angel of death passed over their houses. The Pharaoh told the Israelites to leave Egypt, and Moses and his people were happy and started their journey. On their way, they came to a mountain where God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. The first commandment was to worship only God, worship only the one true God. The second was to not make idols, avoid worshipping images. The third commandment was to not use God's name in vain, which indicates to speak God's name with reverence. The fourth was to remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy and to set aside time for rest and worship. The fifth commandment was to respect your parents, and the sixth was to not kill anyone but value and protect human life. The seventh commandment was to not commit adultery and be faithful with relationships, and the eighth was to not steal but to respect others' property. The ninth commandment was to not lie, speak truthfully, avoid lies and slander, and the 10th was to not be jealous of others, indicating not desire what belongs to others, practice contentment. Moses came down from the mountain and told his people about the 10 commandments. The Israelites promised to follow the 10 commandments, but they soon forgot and started to sin. Moses broke the first set of the 10 commandments tablets when he saw the Israelites worshipping a golden calf, which led to their sin against God. This act symbolized the breach of the covenant between God and the Israelites. He had to go up the mountain again to get new tablets, and he stayed there for 40 days. After this event, God provided a second set of tablets, which Moses then inscribed with the commandments, representing God's forgiveness and the renewal of the covenant. The broken tablets were later placed alongside the intact ones in the Ark of the Covenant, symbolizing the ongoing relationship between God and Israel. When Moses came down, his face was shining, and the Israelites were scared and didn't recognize him. His face was radiant as he had spoken to the Lord. He then spoke to the Israelites, giving them all the commands the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. Moses and his people, the Israelites, continued their journey to the promised land, Canaan. After enduring numerous challenges, including the crossing of the Red Sea and the wilderness, they eventually reached the promised land. This journey is a central narrative in the Old Testament, detailing their faith, obedience, and the fulfillment of God's promises to Abraham and his descendants. They were happy and started a new life, but Moses died before entering the promised land. The Israelites remembered the 10 commandments and followed them, and they built a temple to worship God. They had priests to guide them, and they lived according to the 10 commandments. The story of Moses and the 10 commandments is still remembered today and teaches us to follow God's laws. We can learn from Moses' journey and try to be like him by trusting God and following his commandments. The 10 commandments are a guide for us to live a good life and to love and respect each other. We should always remember the story of Moses and the 10 commandments and try to follow their teachings. The story of Moses and the 10 commandments is a reminder of the importance of following God's laws and loving each other. We hope you have liked this story. Follow us for more such interesting facts and amazing stories.